I want you guys to take a moment, and I want you to be thinking about what has Toad gone through since he last saw his friends. He's been through a lot, right? How does he feel when he starts to tell Rat about his adventures? How does he feel as he's telling Rat about those adventures he went through? Cooper.
Like, a little sad.
Okay. Does he want to go on more adventures?
No.
No, he's not feeling that he's in the mood for any more. Why do you think maybe he doesn't want to go on more adventures? Ray.
Because he, like, just traveled the country and, like, he's still trying to chase on the cops and he doesn't want to go out on an adventure. So the cops will find him and he'll get put back in jail. His friends don't know that he still needs to be 20 years in jail.
Right? So he's just gone on all these adventures, and his adventures landed him in trouble, lots of trouble. So would you want to continue adventures if that's how you ended up? No. Toad, we even remember Toad goes into, he says, let me get this straight, Toad. You've been handcuffed, right? Imprisoned, right? Starved, chased, terrified for your life, insulted, jeered at, and flung into the water by a woman. Would you want to continue adventuring if that was what you just came from?
No.
Or would you feel like, that was amazing, let's do it again?
No.
Viola's thinking that might lead her to more adventures. But most of us are feeling that that doesn't seem like the right way to keep going, right? Do you think there's a chance, thumbs up or thumbs down, do you think there's a chance that Toad will actually change his ways or not really? I'll ask it again because a handful of you don't even know what we're doing. Thumbs up or thumbs down, do you think there's a possibility that, yes, Toad is going to change his ways, or absolutely not? Some are a little bit iffy still, right? Like he at least seems this time remorseful to what he's done. Where in the past, he was a lot of faking, a lot of lying, right? So I guess we'll have to just kind of see what happens. What happens to Toad Hall while Toad is gone? Grayson, what happens to Toad Hall?
Weasels barge and move their stuff in.
Weasels move in. They move their stuff in. Who else?
Stoats.
Those stoats too, right? We heard about Fairy too. The stoats. They move on in. Good. How did they do this? What are they doing? We're not at a beauty parlor, ladies. We gotta stop playing with hair. Ray, how did they do this?
They when Badger and Mole were talking, then they just barged in the door and they're like, get out, we're taking this. And then they just like barged in with all their stuff and moved in, and then they kicked Badger and Mole out of the house in the cold, and then they were just like, this is our house now.
Yeah, that was a great description of what happens. Kicks him out, takes over, right? Now, when I say go, I want you to turn and tell your neighbor what happens in this chapter alone. Toad tries to go get his place back. What happens in the 2 times he tries to go get his place back? Turn and talk with your neighbor. Aiden, work on giving that space to people. Three, 2, 1. Toad goes the first time, and what happens to him? Kaysen. He almost gets shot. He goes the second time, and what happens to him? Charlie. He does sink. His boat goes down, right? They drop that rock in it, and the boat goes down. Good. 3rd graders, we heard that Rat tells Toad, he says, Badger and Mole have scouted out the outside of Toad Hall, and they've surveyed it. What did they discover? Zoe, what did they discover?
The Weasels and the Stoats moved in.
Not only that they moved in, because they know they knocked him out. What's all around the outside of Toad Hall? Haley?
A gate?
There was the gate already there, but who's also at the gate? It's a who question. Right?
A guard.
Yep, those guards. You guys remember what we called those guards at the beginning of our read aloud today? Those are the sentries. Good. Let's go orange. Put them back on. Greens, take them off. We'll just kind of do a rotation. Good. There's those sentries out there. Do you think they're going to have an easy time or a hard time getting Toad Hall back? Do you think they'll even get Toad Hall back?
Yeah.
I don't know. At this point, I'm feeling a little skeptical that they're going to get Toad Hall back.
Maybe.
But I am kind of intrigued. I'm interested to meet these new characters. To know, remember they said, I'm friends with them. At the very, very beginning, we heard he's friends with them, but
You just can't trust
I love that Griffin. Griffin knew exactly what it was. You just can't trust him. So whose perspective was this chapter read from? Or whose perspective was it in? If you know it, say it.
Toad.
It's all from Toad's perspective. Remember, Toad goes out. Toad's doing these things. He has conversations with Rat, but it's Toad's perspective. How would this chapter have been different if it would have been from the perspective of the Stoats, Weasels, and Ferrets? So if this chapter was told from the point of view, the perspective of Ferrets, Stoats, and Weasels, how would things be different? Some of you might have a good idea. How would things be different? Charlie.
Like, this guy came over and we tried to shoot him, but we missed. And then he came over again and we dropped a bullet, but he still is alive.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like, hey, this is what we're doing to keep him out, right? Good. What else might be different? What are some things that would change if all of a sudden it was the Stoats, the Weasels, and the Ferrets telling us the events of this chapter? Brock.
They might say, we busted down the door of Toad Hall and took it in.
Right? So they're like, ha ha, we busted it down. Do you think it would be like super showy, or do you think you'd hear kind of that sneaky vibe from them? They're kind of sneaky creatures right now, right? And mean. They just tried to shoot someone and they dropped rocks on him and told him it'd be their head next time. These guys mean business. Viola, what else might be a little bit different?
Like, they're telling how they tried to kill Toad.
Yeah, we would be hearing about how they're trying to kill this guy. Okay, lots of good examples of that. I have one more thing to think about. Those themes we've gone through, right? Those themes are so important to our reading and our stories. So I have to ask. We have up on our board too, we've gone over friendship, we've gone over hospitality, irresponsibility, and responsibility. Let's jump back to that loyalty. We even heard the word loyalty pulled in today. Which animals showed really good loyalty to their friends today? Turn and talk with your neighbors. Where do we see those examples of loyalty? Three, two, one. Who showed there's a lot of themes that pop up in this piece too, but Griffin, who showed loyalty to other friends in this chapter?
I have two, Badger and Mole.
And how did they show loyalty, and who did they show loyalty to?
They showed loyalty to Toad because trying to get his house back, and they're also just trying to help him.
Yeah, I think we're going to stop with that one, but that's a huge one, right? Badger and Mole showed great loyalty to Toad because this whole time they've been trying to what? They've been trying to get his house back. They were like, hey, he's going to come back. We're here for him. We're going to get it back for him. Have they been successful? No, but they have shown loyalty while trying to do it. We're going to stop there with that right now and move on to our next piece.